A very good morning. It's just 3 minutes past 9 a.m. It's a beautiful Wednesday. Thank you so much for watching UBC TV Inspiring Uganda. And yes, you're tuned in for Good Morning Uganda Extra with me, Sharon Chomdisha. The last 2 years have been very dramatic and very harsh to the economic, social, and health impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. With countries like Uganda trying to cope, conversations are very important to mitigate, to sort of pave a way for a way forward, because so many countries, mostly developing countries and other countries, but developing countries like Uganda have been struggling to cope up. Now, the Office of the Prime Minister, in partnership with Makerere University, the International Center for Evaluation and Development, and the Uganda Evaluation Association is organizing the 2022 Evidence to Action Conference and Exhibition from the 26th to the 30th of September 2022 under the theme Adapting and Innovating Evaluation Practice for Evidence-Based Decision Making Within and Beyond COVID-19. Today with me in studio is Mr. Matthew Lubulwa, President, Uganda Evaluation Association, and Mr. Matthias Mulumba, Civil Society Representative on the Executive Committee of the Evaluation Association. Now we're here to talk and know about the conference that is being organized, but why even the conference? Plus, if COVID-19 is out of the picture, is this really going to still be an important topic, or are we still going to have to talk about the post-COVID-19 period? A very good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning to you.
Yes, good morning to you.
Thank you so much for coming and for making sure that at least there's something being done, or there's a conversation that continuously flows or is being had on the post-COVID-19, but to also make sure that, you know, we're not left in a situation where I know it was a new pandemic, we'd never faced like something like this in the country or in the world, but then these conversations are very, very important. So I'll start with the conference. Is this the first time we're having the conference, or it has happened before?
Good morning, viewers. This is the first time we are having the Evidence to Action Conference in Uganda. The last two Evidence to Action conferences were held in Kenya and in Ghana. So Uganda is hosting the third Evidence to Action Conference.
Okay. And if you're saying we've already had two conferences, when was the first time we had? Which year was that, and the second?
The first conference was held in 2017 in Ghana, and then in 2019 in Nairobi. Now, this particular conference was supposed to happen in 2021 in Uganda, but because of the lockdown, it could not take place. So actually, this Evidence to Action was also affected by COVID, the conference itself. But once the tides have a bit gone down, we decided that we should hold this conference in Uganda, and the conference is taking place from today. This morning, as I speak right now, the conference is beginning at Makerere University, the central teaching facility called Yusuf Rule Auditorium. And it will run from today to Friday. We are expecting lots of keynote speakers and presentations. We have over 70 presenters who have written extensively about different evidence sources, generation and use. And then we have panels with keynote speakers coming from government, the Office of the Prime Minister at the lead, Office of the President, the Ministry of Finance, and other government departments, the Ministry of Gender, Water. They have all come together to share how they have been able to go through this pandemic. But we also have international guests. At the conference, we have over 15 countries represented physically, but then we have so many other countries that are represented virtually. So they'll be online and they are following this event.
Interesting. What is the Evidence to Action conference about?
Yeah,
Mr. Lubulwa, the President.
Okay, the Evidence to Action conference is about generators of evidence, that is largely researchers, evaluators, innovators, and it's about, like the theme has said, adapting to the to issues related to COVID-19, and then we need to adapt, and we see how can we use generated material, evidence-based research in policy decision making. So that is the focus of this year's evidence conference.
Okay. Mr. Mulumba, do you have anything to add on that?
Perhaps would say that there has been a lot of disruptions within the economy, and sometimes the given policies may not be responsive to the challenges within the dynamic of the economy. So evidence comes in to help policymakers make useful decisions that are informed by collected evidence, and sometimes there are challenges in making decisions, particularly in a disruptive environment that we have. So evaluation comes in handy now, and it's an opportunity for other African countries to bring in these experiences and help our African governments understand the importance of evidence in informing policy design and its implementation. Thank you.
Okay. Now, when you talk about evidence in informing policy design, what are you exactly talking about?
There are a number of experiences that are brought on board once you start what you call guidance that government should adopt in where to invest and how to address given challenges. So in design, you have a number of stakeholders who come on board and synthesize, analyze, discuss issues and how to approach them, and then find ways on how they can best address those challenges. Now, sometimes because of the given space that you have in between the challenges and also the time you have to deliver to your masses, to your voters, sometimes you don't have as much evidence, but still you have a political obligation to deliver. So at the end of the day, you need to have a team of experts within government who assist you, and also within other stakeholders like NGOs, civil society, religious institutions who come in to inform the best way to approach these challenges. That is the process of the design. So they come up with policy, a policy that has run through a number of stages, which is not particularly the subject of this discussion, but just briefly to tell you that there's quite a lot that goes on in the background before governments take on this decision, but they're informed by policies and where to invest and put the money in the budget.
Okay. Maybe President Lubola, a little background about the evidence to action, because you said that you've already had 2 conferences running, and this is going to be the 3rd one. Why was it even initially initiated or started up in the first place?
Yeah, African scholars at one of the AFREA is Africa Evaluation Association, sat down and thought that they need to take to the next level the issue of using evidence in decision making. I think that was around 2013. And then the International Center for Evaluation Development was created, and it is based in Ghana as a think tank on generation and use of evidence. So for them to foster the use of what is being generated, they thought that conferences like these should be held biannually, every after 2 years, so that people can come together and share the experiences in terms of generation, utilization of evidence. So the first 2 conferences, the focus was more on generation, because there are issues related to methodology. You know, sometimes people go and talk without actually doing adequate research.
Yes.
And what this think tank is looking at is how do we foster methodologically approved processes in generating evidence so that it can be believed and it can easily be taken up, adopted, and implemented. So the first 2 conferences, we are looking at generation, the processes of getting this evidence on the fore. Now, we've gone to another level. We've known how to generate the evidence. But now, how do we use this evidence? particularly in the policy decision arena. Now, when COVID-19 came, we realized that many governments, because no one was prepared, people were scampering for what to do, how to do it, and things like that. And evaluators across the globe were like, if we use evidence, if we do some research, if we go through particular processes to generate this evidence, it can be based on to make better decisions. So that is the background about this Evidence to Action Conference.
Okay, you talk about evidence and you talk about COVID-19. So what have you found about COVID-19 that is going to help in policy making, or the decision makers and the key players?
Yeah, of course, COVID-19, like I said, no one had prepared for it. Here, domestically in Uganda, what happened when it came? Setting up committees, different individuals, to work out strategies and see how to execute, how to control people, and things like that. But when you ask them what was the basis of making all those decisions, maybe it was not based on evidence. But then we moved a step ahead in terms of now generating innovative approaches to handle the COVID-19. Now, in this conference, we have a number of medical researches that are going to be shared by the different innovators, principal investigators. They have gone ahead, they have generated evidence in terms of tackling pandemics, not only COVID, but any other pandemic. How do you address in case a pandemic came to your country or to a place? How would you respond? And they have come up with scientifically known approaches, or scientifically verified approaches on how to do such things. So we have quite a lot, and we are working with the Makerere University School of Public Health, or the College of Medical Sciences, and we have a number of presenters from there. They are coming to share lots of ideas on what they have been able to do inside the training institution of Makerere University, but also other universities across the globe, because we have people from the United States, from Canada, who are coming down here, from Africa, Zimbabwe, Kenya. There are universities in Kenya that have participated in this event, and they have generated a lot of findings. So these findings are now going to be shared on how they have been able to, in a process, how they have been able to tackle incidents of COVID, but also other pandemics that might come as we move along. How can we handle them?
And that's very beautiful, and it already sounds like it's very research intensive. But when you're talking about tackling pandemics and how I think COVID-19 is going to sort of help, or the evidence with COVID-19 is going to help when it comes to other pandemics, I'm very curious. One of the measures that was put in place was the lockdowns. And for some countries and for some scholars, they believe that didn't work, that was controlling. And while for certain other countries and leaders, they believe the lockdowns were very important. It being one of the biggest measures, and Uganda having, I think, the longest lockdown. What are some of the findings that you found?
Thank you so much, Sharon, for that. Actually, I would tell the viewers that they better come and listen to the presenters, because if I preempt what the presenters are going to tell them, and they are technical. So I'd rather say whoever is viewing us should come for the conference and listen to the experts. They have come with all this knowledge on how to handle such issues, including lockdowns. How can you maybe best control movement of people, maybe without necessarily locking them down for so long and things like that? Because people have done their work, they have generated this evidence, and what remains is for you to come to the conference and then listen to them.
Okay. Now, how important is this conference in Uganda and Africa in context? Yes, Mr. Mumba.
You know, Africa is, I would say, is emerging out of a number of mishaps. Okay, we've had Ebola, we've had wars that are sometimes repetitive. They go on, they're on and off. And the others is also drought and famine or floods. Some of these natural disasters disrupt the way people live daily. So this such a conference coming at this time, particularly when it is addressing some of these key disruptions, as I said before, to the economy, is quite important, because these are people who have scientific means of studying, taking down people's experiences, okay, and sharing them in various spaces. By the time they come here, they have been peer learning around these issues. So to African countries and Uganda as a country, such a conference brings in new knowledge that policymakers can use, but also for those who are budgeting, okay? Where do we particularly put the money in order to spur the economy, to stimulate activity within the economy, such that the resources are put where they are most needed. And with evidence that it will have an impact, because there are many people who are not reached even by now with the given interventions government, for instance, in Uganda has been able to put in place, even the various districts. You would say that when you go to your mother village, how do you find that? Where do you find government intervention? But variously, in the number of programs government is now running, it is increasingly recognizing that you need to capture these experiences to inform the way you even deliver and reach that particular person that you want to target. How do you do that without evidence? So evidence making, and particularly health, which touches us all, is so important to African countries and economies in the way they now structure and address the disruptions that have that obtain within the given populations or target areas that they want to address.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did we have to wait for a conference? Because I feel like you said, there's so many interventions that have been put in place. I remember there's a time when Ugandans were being sent mobile money. The money was injected into certain people's businesses that they thought were worthy, even if some monies weren't really accounted for. Mm-hmm. All those have sort of been interventions to help post-COVID-19 and even during the pandemic, sort of stabilize the economy as well as people's welfare. But then you have evidence, and sounds like, full evidence that will actually help and even open up the governments and stakeholders' minds and eyes. Did we have to wait for this conference? I feel like it should have come in earlier.
You may say that it's not late, but also everything has a time. And also organizing and finding this evidence takes some time. And you need to, peer review such that others also say that with the given evidence that you have, we can also replicate such measures, such that it's not only tied to a particular target community. How do you address on scale such challenges? So, for instance, in collecting some of this evidence, you had to be innovative. How do you collect information where you would originally have to travel, and now you can't travel there? Okay, communities are cut off. How do you collect evidence from there and then be able to inform policymakers and their planners? Okay, so there is quite a lot that goes behind the processes that government goes through to earn this information and to be able to communicate it in a way that makes sense to these people and also relate to the challenges people are going through. And these don't wait. These challenges don't wait. Everyone wants quick action around what they are going through. But how do you use evidence and this body of experts to be useful in these circumstances, but also to inform those actions that you are actually taking, such that you don't make mistakes, but also cut budgets? I remember the budgets are also tight. How do you manage to limit your excesses, okay, in spending, but also manage, for instance, issues of corruption that, as we've seen, because some people think this is quick money that's easily now available. You could be creative with it, but all that. So a number of things you go through in order to make sure that the given interventions are meaningful and cost effective to you as government, but also to help tap into those who are in the business of learning, sharing, and informing given policy directives.
Yes.
Thank you.
You talk about, Mr. Lugura, you talked about African scholars coming together with this evidence. And even within Africa, we have a bit of more developed countries, more than others. For example, Kenya is not on the same level as Uganda. But then these are all, for all this evidence that is coming through, how is it sort of going to be clear-cut to fit into certain countries or for particular countries?
Yeah, one of the areas of evidence use is customizing evidence to your requirements. So when we get presenters, even from much more developed Western world, we sit down and say, how can we customize this evidence to fit our situation? Because these situations are different. Yes. So one of the areas that is going to be talked about in the conference, or that is now being talked about in the conference, are those methodologies on how to customize the evidence to fit in a certain environment. So I think that's what I can say about that.
Okay. Now, what are some of the objectives of the conference?
Okay.
Mr. Mulumba, yes.
Thank you. Allow me to give this, read them through to our viewers. The objectives of the conference are to generate innovative insights and support recovery plans in the face of the COVID-19 disruption, using evidence and evaluation. The second objective is also to enhance the opportunities for researchers and evaluators to contribute to demand-driven research and evaluation activities in the context of Africa. Now, the third objective looks at how to emphasize the importance of contextualized knowledge and local public debate and ownership, okay? And the fourth objective is to provide a platform that integrates and optimizes cutting-edge innovation, research, and evaluation findings through collaborative and shared learning to promote policymaking and sustainable program development. And the fifth, which is the last, is that to examine the approaches for infusing evidence into policymaking and program development. These are some of the things that we've been talking about in a nutshell before. And how do we achieve this? So a number of those papers have been organized, and including, by the way, Ugandans and the university at Makerere and other stakeholders within the country to be able to deliver on these objectives. And we hope that by the end of the day, we'll be able to have achieved some of this information through the shared learning that we expect from the presenters. Thank you.
One of the things that comes out prominently in your conversations is innovation. Innovation. Why is that a very core value or a core sort of thing when it comes to the conference and what you're doing?
Yeah, we're living in the world of, the world is actually moving quite fast. And out there, people are saying you either move as fast or you are left behind. If you remember, I remember reading somewhere when the Nokia company chief executive was talking about why they were closing or they were selling the company. They said they didn't do anything wrong, but technology was moving faster than they could move. Now we have to bring this conversation back to the table, that we have to be innovative while generating evidence. We have to be innovative while executing policies, because it is critical. If we don't do, other people will move and leave us behind. If you remember, when COVID hit, people devised different ways of living in the containment, lockdowns, but also in terms of doing business. Even government came up with a policy. I remember reading Ministry of Public Service guiding public officers to work from home. How are they doing it? Now you have to innovate for you to survive and to continue the processes that you've set. And we are going to share the evidence on how to do this best, how can it be done better, and how can we cope with those who have done it maybe better than us. So innovation is one of the key things that we are looking at. Even in terms of scientific research, we've seen, for example, in Uganda, a number of scientists were given some seed fund to come up with innovative approaches to handling COVID. People have developed COVID testing kits. You know, everyone was not happy when they were putting those sticks in their nose. And scientists in Uganda have come up with better ways of testing, say, for COVID, using saliva, so that they don't have to put something in your nose. Now, when you come to the conference, you're going to hear about all these, and this is evidence. They are saying this is possible. They are progressing in different directions. People have done PCR assays, people have done lots of scientific research, nanotechnology, and these are things that we are going to talk about. For example, Kiram Motors, which is, I think, a government company under UDC, developed, I think they developed, I don't know what the name is, but they were developing lots of things, medical equipment that were missing. How do we deal with things like oxygen? How do you disburse it? People have come up with enterprise relationship programs that can maybe let government quickly respond to problems that can come forward, be it in a pandemic or even our normal problems. We normally have some bit of disasters here and there. So if these are being used, then it becomes easy to quickly respond to such incidents.
Thank you so much. Now, that is all a part of the Evidence to Action conference and exhibition that actually starts today from the 26th to the 30th of September 2022 under the theme Adopting and Innovating Evaluation Practice for Evidence-Based Decision Making Within and Beyond COVID-19. We'll take a short commercial break and we'll be back with more.
Stay connected on the largest 4G network in Uganda using the Airtel 4G Pocket MiFi at only 75,000 Uganda shillings. It comes with 15 GBs free, valid for a month. You can connect up to 10 of your friends and family at a go. Visit the nearest Airtel shop to get one today or call 0800 333 330 for free delivery within Kampala. Dial *175 *9# to activate free 15 GBs. Airtel, the smartphone network.
The Tales of Kasozi, brought to you by Uganda Communications Commission.
Hello?
Hello?
This is Kasozi. How can I help you?
Hey, Kasozi, my brother. Long time. We last met when we were at campus. It's been a while, but you are the person I'm looking for.
Campus? Really?
Hey! You don't remember me?
Okay, so how can I help you?
I'm stuck in Gulu making millions and I need to urgently send money to my sick mother. But I can't find any mobile money agent near me. I've sent the money to your phone, as you can see the message. It might take a few minutes to come through, but I urgently need you to send the money to my mother. Let me send you her number and you send it to her chap.
My friend, I'm afraid your mom is going to die.
What?
Because I don't know you, I never went to campus, and I'm also in Gulu. So can we meet at CPS, we talk about it?
Stay tuned for what Kasozi does next.
Tofera. Refrain from unnecessary engagement with strangers over the phone. This message is powered by the Uganda Communications Commission.
It's back! After 2 years away, the Uganda International Trade Fair is back! The Uganda Manufacturers Association excitedly invites you to the 28th Uganda International Trade Fair from October 3rd to October 10th. Visit more than 1,000 manufacturers, traders, distributors, and business people from all sectors at the UMA Showgrounds in Lugogo. We are back to innovation, products, and world-class manufacturing excellence. Entrance fee is 10,000 shillings only. Select manufacturers will offer discounted prices of up to 50%. Enjoy live performances from your favorite artists as we celebrate 60 years of Uganda's independence. To book spares, call 0703 552 444.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Thank you so much for still watching UBC TV Inspiring Uganda, and yes, still watching Good Morning Uganda Extra with me, Sharon Chomdisha. It's 32 minutes, 20 28 minutes to 10 actually a.m. Thank you so much for always tuning in and being a part of the conversations as well. We have our social media platforms, so you can always join on Twitter. That's at UBC TV. And yes, we're still having the conversation about adopting and innovating evaluation practice for evidence-based decision making within and beyond COVID-19, a conference that has been organized by the Office of the Prime Minister in partnership with Evaluation and Development and the Uganda Evaluation Association. Now, Mr. Lubulwa, if we talk about the themes and sub-themes of the conference, what are those?
Yeah, I'll ask actually Matthias to speak about the sub-themes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Allow me to deliver this. There are about 9 sub-themes of the conference, looking at the diversity of issues that are being addressed within this conference. The first one looks at COVID-19 responses and post-COVID-19 recovery and its impact on public health. And you know that's one of the key areas, given that the School of Public Health is also involved and has been doing a lot of research experiences that they've earned delivering post-COVID interventions within the communities. How does this now help understanding, learning, and policy directives within various African governments? Then, enhancing, the second one is enhancing the agriculture sector development and food systems in sub-Saharan Africa. We talked about how the issue of food security is now is increasing, given now that we also have those diversities that we talked about, the floods, the droughts in various parts of the African continent, and also the use of new agricultural inputs, that's pesticides and whatever. How do you do it? How do you address this in the given context that now we live with, and the declining productivity and within the cycle, the value chain? Okay. The third one is improving adaptation and resilience of private, public, and individual change makers to climate change and natural resource management. Okay, that is also speaks to the previous one in a way. They are interconnected, so that you get learning from all those. It's a holistic approach to the issues and challenges that we go through. Then the other is innovative finance, insurance, credit, and savings for smallholders. Okay, these are businesses now. How are they surviving within the post-COVID environment? How do you support SMEs, for instance, in these circumstances? How do you challenge the given funding models to support the new dynamic that COVID-19 has brought on board? A number of businesses, as you know, have collapsed. And how do you stimulate that economy to be, and also to generate revenue for government? Okay, those are issues that are at the heart of every listener and viewer. That how do I get through this situation? It's quite a challenging time. Then the other is gender equality and youth empowerment in driving Africa's development. As you may know, that most African countries have a larger proportion of their population who are youth, and they are yearning to participate in given government interventions, in development, in being self-reliant. How do you speak to these youths and actions that they can usefully participate in and be and benefit from the given interventions? Then there's also the other is evidence synthesis and impact evaluation for policy making and good governance, which Matthew talked about, and that is quite elaborate, as he has presented before. The other is the seventh one is knowledge brokering and knowledge translation under the new normal. Okay, how do we now share knowledge? Now you may note that a number of platforms have come up sharing knowledge, but are they enough? Are they speaking to the larger population? Maybe they are addressing a given target audience, like WhatsApp, new media, online platforms, Zoom, and the other. But does everyone use Zoom? How do you how do you blend these in order to reach optimally the population and the one that you want actually to take action on the given interventions. So that also helps government to understand which new combinations and new funding areas that they need to invest in order to reach the populations, okay, for the interventions that they are driving. Then the eighth one is effective recovery strategies and inclusion of disadvantaged and vulnerable groups. This, I can't say more to this because the number of vulnerable groups that have come as a result of COVID-19, okay? People you wouldn't expect. We have a number of now young teen mothers. How do you deal with this? They are quite vulnerable. Even the elderly. So many were not, cannot be with the welfare systems supporting this, or are they not? How do you address all these gaps in these circumstances? It is important that we share this learning and share these spaces to increase knowledge and means of addressing this, what we are going through as a country. But these are people we live with, that we send money every day or the other day, who are demanding from us, maybe who are in a position to earn something, to be on their side, to think about them. Okay, the disabled, how do they cope? For instance, cope within the given after the COVID-19. How are they coping? Which kind of resources are there, and where can they access that kind of support to help them move on and also find meaning within their lives? That's just for example. And the ninth is the role of voluntary professional evaluation societies, what we call VOPEs, in building debate on leaving no one behind in the face of COVID-19. I would like Matthew to elaborate more on this.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, on this particular one, on this sub-theme is where now we come in as Uganda Evaluation Association, when we partner with these different organizations to make sure that issues that are affecting communities, issues that have been researched, issues that have been evaluated can be brought to the table and they get discussed, and ensure that we are communicating to the different platforms, but also to the policy makers. And that's why for this particular conference, we have the policy makers there, we have the ministers, the members of parliament, and we have the generators of this evidence in government departments. We have the civil society organizations there. They generate a lot of evidence. We have researchers and academicians and scholars. So all of them sitting in one room and talking about evidence is where now that last sub-theme is all about.
Okay. You talked about, even in the objectives, that you're very big on community involvement, local involvement, local people being involved in the conversations and all. And these are the same people that, yes, the stakeholders and the ministries and all the government parastatals will stand up, have that evidence and work towards addressing those issues. But where else are they involved, apart from you generating evidence from them?
The challenge is that everyone goes through what you're talking now. Mm-hmm. Everyone is doing monitoring. Everyone is doing evaluating. How do I start my day? What have I learned investing in this enterprise? My poultry now that is that I'm not able even to find feeds for. Everyone goes through that. Okay, those lived experiences are day-to-day experiences that are collectively used to in spaces like this to help address challenges, common day-to-day challenges. Now, those challenges are not by the experts, all are faced only by the experts, but the people that they work through, the MDAs, that is ministries, departments and agencies, every day they wake up to deliver a government mandate, the government mandate on those given challenges. And those are, we are talking about people, not just numbers. We are talking about people and their experiences. How does government communicate this every day? Okay, it communicates through the interventions it has done every day. The way government spends is responding to given challenges, and the people, the way they respond is through sometimes through calls or through sometimes protests. Sometimes it is through participating in these programs. Okay, so those lived experiences really bring forth that conversation, that it's not just there because we've collected the evidence, but how are we learning from all this collective evidence to inform new interventions that government and our different stakeholders can inject money into, can inject their efforts into, can inject their expertise into, to better improve the livelihoods of the people, the common people that everyone said they target.
Yeah, actually, in summary, Sharon, the evidence generators are representing the views of the people because they have gone to them in some instances and generated this evidence. They don't work in space. They work with the communities. They work with the individuals. So they are bringing it, and the reason the conference is open to everyone is you come, and as they make these different presentations, they initiate these discussions, your input can also be felt. So we continue to encourage the people out there, come and actually contribute to this discussion. So it is not about scholars, it is not about policymakers alone, it is also about the people. And we are inviting them to come and contribute to the discussion.
So it's open for anyone?
Yes, the conference is open for anyone.
From the 26th to the 30th of this
Exactly.
month, at Makerere University? At
Makerere University. And actually, we didn't say this, but the conference we decided that it is held in Makerere University as one of the generators of evidence, but Makerere University is celebrating 100 years. And we requested Makerere University that maybe we host it at their facilities. We would have gone to a hotel here in town, but because of celebrating 100 years of Makerere University, this is one institution which has generated a lot of knowledge. So many professors have come from that institution. But that is not to say that other public universities or any other tertiary institutions should not participate in this event. So we've joined hands and we've seen presenters from other universities in Uganda. They are part of this menu, and they are coming to also share their ideas. And people can come from all walks of life, from everywhere. You come and actually listen, but also contribute, and your voice should also be heard as we promote the use of evidence in decision making.
Mm-hmm. You talked about how this conference is supposed to generate us new ideas, new ways of coping post-COVID-19. And we already had the government in place doing some of these things when they were faced with different challenges, whether it was locomotion movements, they sort of came up with ideas. And yes, they were quick ideas, but they sort of helped with sustainability for those 2 years during the lockdown. Is there anything different that you're going to present to us?
Yes, I think actually, again, if you want to see the difference, it's better. I'm now inviting you, Sharon, and UBC.
Yes.
You come and listen to what is different. Mm-hmm. But possibly it may not necessarily be different in some aspects. It could be how better to execute some of those plans using evidence. It may not necessarily be something new, but an innovative way of doing things. Is what you are likely to learn more. But there are people who are going to learn new things because there's a lot to learn. And when you sit out there, you might think that you know it all, until when people start talking about things you've never heard. And it is important that you come for the conference and then listen to those new ideas, as well as improved ideas that people have generated.
What is, yes,
in addition, Sharon, yes, that evidence and evaluation is actually helping you to do what you do better, okay? But using the experiences that are earned around you, and also learn from others who have gone maybe through those experiences, but have those they found that issues, their approaches were not working. So how best can you redesign your approach or adjust them in a way to help you achieve your target or your objectives?
Because of the available research,
exactly.
So you're more grounded.
Yes, you're more grounded.
Yes.
That also gives with the field officers, for instance, in government, that what we are doing is backed by evidence. Yes. And we are not just doing it because government says so. No, we have experience, and this experience is is peer reviewed, and then we are able to put it out and be able to benefit our actions as government.
Who are some of the partners of this conference?
We have quite a number of partners for this conference. Makerere University, the hosts, is one of them. The Office of the Prime Minister, like you've already mentioned, they are core partners. The International Center for Evaluation and Development, I said, they are the organizers. And then we have other partners, National Medical Stores, we have the National Drug Authority, there's Cambo Collaboration, Feed the Future, Innovation Lab for Markets, Risks and Resilience. We have the World Health Organization. All these are partners, and maybe we have the United States International University in Africa, which is based in Kenya. They are also part of this. GDN, the Kenyan Ministry of Treasury, is also partnering in this. And there are a few others, maybe if Matthias, you remember them, we can mention them. But Uganda Evaluation Association is a key partner and is the host. And that's why we are here talking about this.
Yes. What are some of the expectations or expected outcomes from this conference? Mr. Lubula, maybe as Mr. Matthias gets ready.
Yeah, Matthias.
Okay, some of the expected outcomes from this conference is to increase the availability of information and evidence on innovative approaches used to support the post-COVID-19 recovery. And that is key. Why that? Because a number of interventions were done quickly, you know, but how do we learn from them to benefit what we are already doing, okay? So what information now is coming through that we can use to adjust given interventions that already are ongoing and new ones that are coming to address some of these challenges. Then the other is increased dialogue and communication among stakeholders to drive the research and evaluation agenda and priorities towards recovery in COVID-19. Okay.
On that very point, do we only have these conferences once? You said once in 2 years?
Yeah, once in 2
every
years.
2 years.
This particular one is once in 2 years. But as Uganda, we usually hold annual Uganda evaluation weeks. And actually, while we are partnering, part of this conference is also to hold the annual Uganda Evaluation Week, which is usually hosted by the Office of the Prime Minister. But in terms of the evidence to action, the conferences are held every after 2 years.
Oh, okay.
And during that week, stakeholders from government, from civil society, from other non-governmental organizations come together and bring up their research or their evaluations and showcase what is working and what is not working in the given from their approaches. And also they share learning, and there are also trainings around that time to help evaluators be up to date with new ways of delivering and improving their programs within their given workplaces. But the other outcome that that we expect is to share existing sources of and approaches of harnessing both domestic and international financial resources to support local research and evaluation. Remember that research is also expensive.
Yes.
At the end of the day, how do you tap into the various players who are interested in what you are doing, and also to generate evidence around that to support this learning across countries? Sometimes this is regional, sometimes it's national.
Did you actually conduct research across the country, Uganda?
Yes, some of our members have do this kind of research, maybe.
When you look at the menu of the different presenters, they are coming because we opened up, we called for abstracts, and people submitted the evidence that they had generated. And we looked at the methodologies that they had used before we selected those panels. We received quite a lot of papers, locally in Uganda, so many, and internationally. And out of the so many, over 100 abstracts that were submitted, we selected 64 that are part of this menu. So you expect that the people who are coming have actually gone through a rigorous process to come to the table and discuss what they have found, because the peer reviewers have looked at what they generated and they have said, okay, this is up to the requirements of an international conference.
Okay.
The other outcome is increased availability and accessibility of evaluation itself, and research findings for policy making and program development, which who sits in the Ministry of Finance can also ably add.
I think it is
self-explanatory.
Yes.
Okay. The other outcome that we are looking at is the improved linkages and adoption of demand-driven evaluation and research findings for policy development programs and constitutional governance in Africa. So it's a holistic approach. That how do we improve what we are doing? How do we even improve governance itself as a result of this evaluation? Evaluation is supposed to inform all these processes. So it is the driver and engine behind the unseen, okay, behind the curtains action that helps inform governance systems. But how do we even strengthen them to be responsive to the given challenges each country is going through, and the various dynamics and targets within the governments have set. You know, every year, every elective year, government sets given targets and what? And priorities. How do we speak to those priorities? Because we don't do it individual just to do as an organization or as an individual or as a firm. But how do we inform given interventions to be able to deliver on the mandate that some of these the governments hold on behalf of government, or rather on behalf of the people? Okay.
As we come to a conclusion, any last remarks?
Yes. Personally, I'm inviting everyone out there. You run to Makerere University. The conference has started, and I want to say we have distinguished scholars and top government officials. The keynote speaker who is about to start, and you shouldn't miss, is Professor Nelson Sewankambo, who is a distinguished and decorated scholar in science. We expect that tomorrow Mr. Ramadan Gobi, the PSST in the Ministry of Finance, will make a presentation, a keynote address. We expect Dr. Joseph Muvawala from the National Planning Authority to also come and make an address to this conference. But we have distinguished scholars, Dr. Okware, who will come to speak about Ebola as part of what he will be presenting. We know that he's one of those decorated scientists on Ebola as a pandemic. So he will tell us the evidence generated from across Africa. And we have so many other presenters and individuals whom I cannot mention in the remaining time. So just encourage you to come and attend this conference starting today, this morning, through tomorrow and Friday. Now, we're expecting the Vice President to open this conference probably in the next few minutes, or the representative. And then the Prime Minister herself confirmed that she will close the conference on Friday. And we have the Minister of General Duties in the Office of the Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Kasule Lumumba, at the conference. She told us that she will be there throughout the whole event to listen and discuss some of these cutting-edge innovations in terms of evidence generation so that they can be put to action. So I'm just encouraging you to all come and attend this conference.
Thank you. Yes, Mr.
Thank you very much, Sharon. There are also hashtags that are being shared. When you visit the Uganda Evaluation Association website, you'll find links that you are able to follow this conference, even when you are not physically within the precincts of the university. But also, I urge civil society who always have key questions around these interventions to be more active this time, to tune in and participate in the discussions and give challenges and also share their learnings from what they are doing in order to inform given interventions by government, but also to inform the other African players on how civil society within Uganda, for instance, has been able to handle some of these challenges and support given interventions and contribute to development. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Matthias Mulumba, and the President, Mr. Luvolo.
Thank you so much.
Now, that was, of course, about the 2022 evidence to to Action Conference and Exhibition from the 26th to the 30th of September. So from today to Friday, you've had key speakers. You've had the Prime Minister is going to be closing the conference. Please go ahead. This is free of charge, and you as a citizen of Uganda can be able to participate in these conversations that help people understand what everyone is going through. So you don't just have to feel like it's just Makerere University, public university. You can walk in there, listen to what is happening, what is the evidence being collected, ask the right questions if you want also to participate, and make sure that you make a difference. Of course, it's under the theme Adopting and Innovating Evaluation Practice for Evidence-Based Decision Making Within and Beyond COVID-19. So it's no longer just about emotions or we're caught unawares. Now there's evidence to back all the things that are going on, and we're well prepared for even other pandemics. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good morning. My name is Sharon Chomtisha.